So, let's talk about what asset lifecycle management is before we discuss how to reduce the headache and talk about modern asset management. What is asset lifecycle management, and what is the context we're using to address it? It's really any set of rules that we have in place that take data from various systems to help us improve how we procure equipment, deploy it, track it, maintain it, keep it patched, track it when it goes missing, and assist our friends in security operations in keeping the devices secure. It's all of that, and it's not just hardware assets. Software is an asset as well, including your software applications, whether they are SaaS or desktop. Cloud infrastructure, particularly in the last decade or so, has become extremely prevalent, allowing your development and engineering staff to spin up virtual infrastructure. It's no longer the same type of challenge as deploying, maintaining, managing, and recovering hardware, which, at the very least, you can put your hands on and see. Now, it's virtual infrastructure that someone provisioned with the click of a button, costing your organization money the same way that a laptop sitting unused in someone's desk drawer costs money. In that sense, for a virtual asset, it's not depreciation, but the monthly billing that the person who deployed the asset probably never sees or thinks about when they're done with it, and how they, or your organization, recover it. This also extends to users, whether they are employees, consultants, or even vendors. All of these people come together to help with your asset lifecycle management, hardware, software, cloud, and users. With that being said, what are the challenges that most organizations face today? Where does Oomnitza fit into this puzzle? How do I lay the foundation for what we'll discuss with Oomnitza? Traditionally, organizations have a set of siloed tools that do a fantastic job on certain tasks. For example, your Cisco Meraki infrastructure does an excellent job of tracking network assets like routers and switches, but it doesn't necessarily do a great job of relating them back to who is responsible for them, whether the certificates on them are up to date or how they're aging. The same goes for your end user assets, whether they are laptops, desktops, mobile phones, docking stations, keyboards, monitors, or similar items. What we have are many siloed tools that all do a good job of collecting data, but they don't communicate with each other very well, and they certainly don't help you normalize that data. So when things get out of sync, for instance, when the same laptop gets deployed to two different people as viewed in two different systems, that's obviously not accurate. You've only got one physical laptop. It has to belong to someone, and it can't be deployed to two people. But there's nothing to tell you how to reconcile data from your Azure database and your CrowdStrike database, both reporting on this asset in different states. That data becomes fragmented and inconsistent. Even the fact that it's siloed is not the biggest problem. The real issue is that it's no longer consistent, even if you try to match them all up. The biggest problem is that manual aggregation of data, whether monthly, quarterly, or annually, creates monumental challenges. Someone needs to look at a report that says, this is what I've got, this is what's retiring, this is what we need to procure. And then you try to piece that together from multiple siloed systems when the data is fragmented. If you're in this space, you've absolutely lived through these challenges. It's very difficult to answer questions about why your data seems to change so much quarter over quarter. If you could imagine a way to consolidate all that data and reconcile it in a more real-time fashion so things never got out of whack, you'd be far ahead of the game. Eliminating the manual remediation that you're subject to today, lack of visibility, manual remediation, and data inconsistency, would be a game changer. Once you realize you have all of these siloed tools, fragmented data, and so on, implementing the business processes that keep your organization running becomes extremely difficult. That's the biggest challenge for operations, security, audit, and compliance teams. Business processes may float around at 50,000 feet, but they get implemented at 500 feet in all those siloed systems we were talking about. So what would modern asset management look like? Imagine taking all those siloed tools and making them complementary. You would normalize that data, generating the possibility for automated reporting and continuous data consistency, always having complete visibility in what's going on in your IT estate. You'd be able to automate those business processes, rather than having them be manual, with access to all those systems. Imagine pulling data, pushing data automatically in response to changing conditions. You could automate those business processes. And that's where Oomnitza comes in. Oomnitza is agentless by design. We do not put agents on your systems because the last thing you need is yet another agent polluting your systems. You've already got best-of-breed tools in your organization, whether tools that help with endpoints, applications, or networking, and at whatever stage in the lifecycle, purchase, deployment, monitoring. You've got these applications: Sophos, CrowdStrike, SolarWinds, AWS, Zendesk, Jira, ServiceNow, and many others. What you need is something that pulls all of this data together and turns it into information. And that's what we call enterprise technology management. That's what enables modern asset management.